Amelia Earhart may be the first woman to have this many guys interested in her dead body. Hi, I'm Anna Lori. Welcome back to What's Trending. Recently, the news hit that we have finally, almost definitely discovered the remains of Amelia Earhart. I say we, but I didn't do anything. It was all scientists and explorers, for the most part. However, these headlines are a little misleading. The bones were discovered back in 1940. They were found on the island of Nikumaroro, and a year after they were discovered, they were identified as male bones. That's not the kind of male bone I'm used to seeing. But doubt lingered with University of Tennessee professor Richard Jantz, so he did what anybody would do in that situation. He co-developed a computer program that can calculate sex and ancestry using bone measurements. This got us thinking about some other crazy unsolved mysteries. I did the transition myself in case Mitch is feeling sassy. I want you to imagine that you have gone missing and that there is one person capable of solving your disappearance, and that person is Leah Remini. Is that how you say your last name? Shelly Miscavige led a relatively quiet and normal life, living on a boat in international waters, serving one of the most prominent cult leaders and worst science fiction writers of all time, L. Ron Hubbard. It was here that she met her husband, famous sociopath David Miscavige. Miscavige was L. Ron Hubbard's right-hand man for years and is the current leader of the Church of Scientology. Shelly, who was frequently in the public eye, dropped off the map in 2007. Her absence was first noted by Leah Remini at a wedding when Remini asked where she was. Shortly after, Remini filed a missing persons report. The church did not like that. Scientology has a long, dark, f***ed-up history of abuse. But murder? The jury is still, just kidding, there's no jury. There never was. Even though Shelly's husband was known to be violent and short-tempered, the LAPD found no evidence of foul play, leading some to suggest that perhaps the police were on Xenu's payroll. Reddit user This Is My Fupa started a thread about Shelly's disappearance, and there are some interesting theories. Because Scientology claims to be able to cure all ills, some users speculate that Shelly Miscavige developed a chronic or mental illness and that the church locked her away to preserve their image. Intrigue, celebrities, theories, and Scientology, this mystery has everything you could want. I rate this mystery 4.5 stars. The Sodder Children. In 1945, a stranger showed up at George Sodder's house to sell life insurance. When he was turned down, he told George that his house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed because of the comments that George had made about Mussolini. Well, don't mess with Mussolini, because that is exactly what happened. When a mysterious stranger appears at your back door making eerie statements about your house catching on fire, maybe don't brush it off right away. 5 of the Sodders' 9 children were pronounced dead in the fire. The fire chief said that the bodies had been totally cremated by the 45-minute blaze, but human bones can last for 2 hours in up to 2,000-degree heat. Things just weren't adding up. The mysterious stranger was just one of a series of weird events leading up to the fire. When the house was burning, George Sodder went to pull his truck up so he could get to the second story to save his children, but found that the truck, which had worked perfectly the day before, wouldn't start. The Sodders were then informed after the incident that their telephone lines had been cut. The Sodders spent the rest of their lives searching for their missing children, who they were certain were still alive. People called them every so often with tips that went nowhere. When they were sent this photo by someone claiming that it was their son Louis, they sent a private detective to Kentucky to investigate. They never heard from the detective again. They got ripped off. The disappearance of the Sodder children goes even deeper than we discussed here, including mysterious behavior from the fire chief and Mrs. Sodder burning animal bones to test if they can disappear completely. One of the strangest stories of the last century with just enough evidence to keep you guessing. I rate this mystery 4 stars. Charles Chuck Morgan. Charles C. Morgan was your average escrow company owner and 1970s style glasses wearer. Chuck vanished suddenly on March 22nd, 1977, and just showed up back at his house a few days later, unable to speak. In writing, he told his wife that he had been kidnapped, tortured, and that his assailants had painted a hallucinogenic drug on his throat. He also claimed to work for the federal government, which was the first his wife had heard of this. Chuck reacted to his kidnapping like anyone might and started wearing a bulletproof vest everywhere. Unfortunately, he did not wear a bulletproof helmet, and his body was found in the desert 2 days after his wife received a mysterious phone call that dictated a Bible verse. Police ruled it a suicide, but Chuck had normal-length human arms, which are way too short to shoot yourself in the back of the head. Oh, okay, so maybe that's faulty thinking. It probably where the bullet was farther away. Yeah. Chuck's body was riddled with nonsensical clues, including a $2 bill that was taped inside of his underwear. Names listed alphabetically, the signers of the Declaration of Independence, and a map of some part of Arizona. I'm picturing an enormous dollar bill. A journalist who investigated this labyrinthine mystery, Don Devereaux, no relation to
I am stunned,
has posited that this was all part of an enormous money laundering scheme set up by the mafia in Arizona in the 70s. However, the mafia must not have put their top man on the Morgan job, because this mystery is a clusterfuck of clues that mean nothing and lead nowhere. I rate this mystery a 2.5. What's your favorite mystery disappearance? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more What's Trending. For more trends like these, head over to whatstrending.com.
5 stars.